All right, now we are going to go over trapezoids in 8.04, and I just kind of want to dive right into it. A trapezoid is way different than a parallelogram and what we've been going over. So the definition of a parallelogram is that it has two pair of opposite sides that are parallel, whereas a trapezoid has exactly one pair of opposite sides that are parallel, and these are known as the bases. So like here are the bases of the trapezoid, and those are the parallel sides. Okay, and if it's parallel, it's the base. All right. So let's get right into it. So we want to name the bases of this trapezoid. So I like to highlight my bases just so I know like which ones they are. So BC is a base. And AD is a base of this trapezoid, and it is also known as their parallel pair. Okay, it's the parallel side. So if they do not belong to the base, if they're not parallel to each other, those are known as the legs. So AB is a leg, and CD is a leg. Okay. So the next question states A and D are known as what? So A and D, they both belong to the same side. So whether that side is a leg or whether that side is a base will determine what we call those if it belongs to the same line, okay? So A and D, because they belong to a parallel line, they belong to this line. This is known as a base angle pair. All right. So if I was talking about angle B and angle A, because those aren't on the same base, they're not on the same parallel line, these are not known as a base angle pair, okay? So that's what we're about to get into, and that's exactly what your first practice problems will be over, okay? So notice how I have on this first example, I have my two parallel lines, okay? And notice that my angles don't belong to the same parallel line, okay? If they do not belong to the same parallel line, then they are supplementary to each other. Okay, they're supplementary because they're same side interior angles, so meaning they add up to 180 degrees. Okay, if this angle was down here, this would be a base angle pair, and there's nothing we can do if it's just a trapezoid that's not isosceles. Okay, but your first page of your assignment will be exactly over this stuff that you have to pick the two pair of angles that aren't base angle pairs and add them and equal them to 180. So for this example right here, we have 12x plus 3 plus 13x plus 2 will equal 180. We'll add our 12x and our 13x, get 25x. We'll add our positive 3 and our positive 2 to get positive 5. Set equal to 180. Subtract 5, and I'm left with 25x equals 175. Think quarters here, 25 cents. How many 25 cents do we have in $1.75? So divide by 25, and x equals 7. All right, so your first part of your practice, trapezoid practice, will be over identifying the two angle pairs that are not base angle pairs and adding them and set them equal to 180. Okay, they're going to give you 3. So what I'm saying is if I have a trapezoid here, they're going to give you x, 27, and 34. Okay, well, because x and 27 live on the same line, these are not what you're going to add and set equal to 180. These two, because they are on the same leg of the trapezoid. They don't belong to a base, okay? They don't belong to the same base is what I'm saying. These will add up and set equal to 180, okay? All right, now we're getting into mid-segment practice, okay? So there is a mid-segment formula. So before we go over the formula, I'm going to explain what a mid-segment is. So if you think of the word mid means middle, and a segment is a line, so it's the middle line. And what it does is it's the line that's in the middle of the trapezoid, and what it does is it splits the legs into congruent parts. And there is a formula we will use. So it's base 1 plus base 2 divided by 2. Okay, and I've highlighted it, kind of correlated. So base 1 being the top base 2 being the bottom base, and then we'll divide by 2. And that'll give us the pink line, which is the mid-segment. All right, so for example, on number 1, base 1 is 8 plus base 2, which is 30, okay, divided by 2. So 30 plus 8 is 38. 38 divided by 2 is 19. So the answer to this is 19 yards. All right. I want you to do example 2. I'll put the answers in the description below. Okay, so pause this video and complete example 2 and find the mid-segment of this example. All right. Finding this one. This one's a little bit more difficult, okay? But it's the same process. It gives us a value for our mid-segment here. All right, so notice how we could easily find this because it gives us just number values. So because it gives us number values for our bases, we can figure out what the mid-segment is worth. And here's what I mean. So the mid-segment value, remember, is base 1, which is 11, plus base 2, which is 61, divided by 2. 11 plus 61 equals 72, and 72 divided by 2 is 36, I believe. Yep. Okay, so we know that the value of the mid-segment here is 36. Well, if I'm just trying to find x, I can set that 5x plus 11 equal to 36 and then solve. So subtract 11. I'm left with 5x equals 25. Divide by 5. And x equals 5. Okay? But what if it gives me an x value on a base? This is when things are going to get a little bit trickier, okay? All right, so it's still going to be the same. Base 1 plus base 2, so 10 plus 2x divided by 2 will equal the mid-segment. And the mid-segment here is negative 3x plus 65. But here's the kicker, okay? Because of this right here, the divided by 2, our process changes a little bit, okay? All right. So what we can do is put this over 1 and cross multiply. Okay, we can put our mid-segment over 1 and cross multiply. So what that does is if I have 10 plus 2x times 1, it gets me the same 10 plus 2x. When I multiply 2 by negative 3x plus 65, it's multiplying the whole thing by 2. So it's 2 times negative 3x plus 65, close parentheses. My agenda, and this is the most important part, is to distribute this 2. So 2 times negative 3x, which gets us negative 6x. 2 times 65, which gets us 130. And then 10 plus 2x doesn't change. Now we just solve. We move our x's around, okay? I always move my smallest x. Well, my smallest x in this situation is negative 6. Okay, so negative 6 because it's negative, I'm going to add my 6 over. And I'm left with 10 plus 8x equals 130. I'm going to subtract my 10, and I'm left with 8x equals 120. And when I divide by 8, x equals 15. All right. So when you have multiple x's in the situation, okay, or there's an x on the base, on one of the bases, you're going to have to cross multiply to be able to solve for x. All right.